Yes. Sorry, we got a little delay due to technical English. No, no problem. Everything is by Krishna, so nothing to. Okay, let's start. Mataji, just confirm if the PPT is visible, voice is audible.
Yes, Prabhuji. Both PPT is visible, voice is audible.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, everyone. So we completed chapter 5, Karma Sannyasa Yoga yesterday, and now we're in chapter 6, that is Dhyana Yoga. So what happened in chapter 5? Let us just summarize that. First, humble obeisances to Radha Govinda, and let's start. So this is what we have studied yesterday. So 1 to 6 was Niskama Karma Yoga, which is easier, Niskama Karma Yoga or renouncing. So Niskama Karma Yoga is easier than renouncing work. And then section 2, 5.7 to 5.18, this 5 or 6 verses, how to perform Niskama Karma Yoga. And there was an example of Padmapatra Vivambasa, like a lotus leaf. Then 5.13 to 5.16, platform of knowledge, knowing the three doers. That also we discussed. And section 4 was liberation by. So there was a definition of liberation, that liberation is not only, mukti only after death, but even there are liberated souls while they are already while they are alive. We took the example of Sukha Maharaj and so many others. So that is why, because they had two things. One is that they don't have any hate or any desire, and second is that second quality was that they are not disturbed by happiness or distress. So equanimity was there. And then section 5 was liberation through Ashtanga Yoga. And the more detail of Ashtanga Yoga we'll have in this chapter today. And our chapter 5 ended with the peace formula. That is Bhoktaram Yagatapasam, Sarva Loko Maheshwaram, Suhrudam Sarva Bhutana, Kyatva Mam Shantir Mruchati. So 3 points. Bhoktaram Ekadapasam, that is benefactor. Krishna is the benefactor of all the sacrifices, whoever is doing whichever sacrifices to whichever god, demigod, whatever it is, everything goes to him. Then he is the supreme controller, nobody is above him, nobody is equal to him. And third is that he is the only friend to every living entity. By knowing these three, we get the peace. There we ended the last chapter. So now starts the sixth chapter. This is a Dhyana Yoga. So in the Dhyana Yoga, first 4 verses is advancing in yoga through detached work. Then 5 to 9, the Yoga Rudha stage. Yoga Rudha stage, and then there's a final stage. And before that, the Yoga Ruksha stage. Then section 3 is on the further stages in the practice of yoga. Section 4, necessity of controlling the turbulent mind. So of course, Indriyani Pramathini and so many other things that we have also learned before. Then 6.37 to 6.45, the destinations of the unsuccessful book. That's a question from Arjuna. That what happens? What happens? After this Ashtanga Yogi, when he does the Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Dhyana, Dharana, Samadhi, Pratyahara in between, of course. So what happens if, let's say, he leaves in between, or this is one case in Ashtanga Yoga itself, if he lives in between, that is maybe at the level of pranayam or at the level of somewhere, because he doesn't, you know, reach up to the samadhi, because after samadhi only there's a possibility to achieve Paramatma in of course, the Brahma Jyoti. Now, second situation could be that somebody is starting with Sakama Karma, goes to the next ladder. Next ladder is the Niskama Karma. Next ladder is the knowledge, transcendental knowledge. So from the knowledge, then it goes to the next level. that is Ashtanga Yoga, because there is a knowledge to do how to go to, a jungle, what to do. So all the processes which is already prescribed in the scripture, based on that, the Ashtanga Yoga system is there. And from Ashtanga Yoga, the final Krishna consciousness level. So if somebody is in between uh, and left his body, then what happens? That was the question of Arjuna, and Krishna answers that. That is between 6.37 to 6.45 and 6.46 to 47 is that who is the topmost yogi? And we know who is the topmost yogi. So Bhakti Yoga is the topmost that will come at the last section of this chapter. So let's begin. So 6.1 to 6.4, advancing in yoga through detached work. Ashtanga yogis like Niskama Karma yogis engage in detached work to advance. So detachment comes to one who realizes that he is not autonomous in his actions. So when we say he is not autonomous, it means that someone else is actually doing this, not he or she is doing this. So basically, if I'm desiring something, if a jiva or a living entity is desire something, how the desire gets fulfilled. And this is how the desire is fulfilled. So what happens? Jiva first desires. Now Paramatma is sitting in our heart. Dehesmin purusaha paraha. So while he's sitting in the heart, super soul verifies whether, and he's also what? He's also the sanctioner of the desire, because desire cannot happen just like that. So anything anyone is able to do based on his desire, whether it is a greatest of the great thing or you know worst of the worst things, that also is through the sanction. But not that every desire will be sanctioned, right? So therefore, the sanction will happen only for the desire where the living entity deserves to get this desire to fulfilled. And Paramatma decides this. And then who does it? So once it is verified and sanctioned, then after that, the doer is the material nature or the Prakriti. Through the three modes, it acts and the desire is fulfilled. So this is how the whole process happens. However, what happens in case of a Niskama Karma Yogi is he purifies. He purifies his vision and activity by Niskama Karma Yoga because he's not attached to the fruit of the results. So thereby, not by getting attached, being in the state of a Padma Patra Vibhamvasha, in the light like a lotus sleep, what happens? The purification process happens because in this process he can advance in meditation. So therefore, the the meditative process or the Ashtanga Yoga actually starts with Yama, which are primarily all the principles, the discipline, and the niyamas. So various regulative principles. Getting up at 4 o'clock, doing certain rounds, 16 rounds, reading scriptures, and many other things, and doing their various kind of breathing exercises and all that. By meditating on the super soul, one can develop devotion to him in bhakti yoga, understanding that Krishna is the three that we decided. I mean, discussed. One is he's the supreme enjoyer. Second, he's the ultimate controller or the supreme controller, and he's the Suhridam Sarvabhutanam, or he's the best friend. So one is that a Krishna consciousness person is straight away he knows it because he accepts that. Arjuna accepts Krishna from he doesn't have to go through the process of the Ashtanga Yoga. He accepts Krishna as he is, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So for a Krishna consciousness person, this elaborate process is not required because he accepts absolutely from the beginning. Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram, Paramam Bhavan. Already he accepts everything. So, but in case of Astanga Yogi, it is a ladder by ladder, step by step, he moves. And ultimately, he is able to go. to the bhakti, ultimately to the bhakti from the in the last stage, and all this realization happens to him. So this is how the incremental uh, development or incremental process that happens is that first the knowledge increases. That is, if we connect from chapter 5 to chapter 6. Chapter 6 is dhyana yoga, chapter 5 is karma sannyasa yoga. So knowledge increases. Which knowledge? The knowledge that I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am the spirit soul, I am the permanent servitor of Krishna. With that knowledge, the person goes to the level of the platform of transcendental knowledge, where Kumaras, in fact, were the Jnani. So therefore, they remain, they didn't want to grow up. Because they know that the moment they grow up, then the Maya will catch up. So they say that we want to be, children all the time. They decided that. And in fact, the beautiful part is that they were Jnanis, the absolute Jnanis, but they become Bhakta by smelling the garlands and which are given to Krishna. So it's such a purificatory process, such a beautiful process. The process that we have in Krishna consciousness is, offering the garland, listening, Sravanam Kirtanam, Archanam, Sravanam Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Archanam, Vandanam, Pada Sevanam, Dasyam Sakhyam, Atmani Vedanam. The whole process is such that the consciousness increases, and then ultimately they realize a super soul. But this is the process they have to go through. In the Krishna consciousness process, which we follow as a devotee, for devotee, this process is not required at all. We can see our acharyas, whether our founder acharya or Sri Chaitanya Deva, we see what they say. They say, Mama Janmani Janmani Sware, right? So before practicing advanced stages of Ashtanga Yoga, one must be purified by the practice of Niskama Karma Yoga. So this is a primarily purification process. Therefore, Lord Krishna glorifies Niskama Karma Yoga in the first two verses. And what are the verses? This is the verses. Sri Bhagavan Vacha, Anashritah Karma Phalam, Anashritah Karma Phalam, Karyam Karma Karoti Yaha, Sa Sannyasi Cha Yogi Cha, Na Niragnir Na Chakriyah. Na niragnir na cha akriyaha. So what is niragni and what is akriyaha? Niragni is somebody who doesn't, burn the flame, niragni. And akriya is a person who doesn't do anything. In the sense, he doesn't perform any duty. So these two, in the traditional way, people think that they are actually the sannyasi because they are not burning, they are not having any fireplace in, because a householder will have a fireplace. They will not have fireplace. That is one aspect. Other aspect is that even for the fire sacrifice, which is which is prevalent in a particular yoga, so that also they do not do, because in the fire sacrifices also why it is done? It is done for some or other benefit. So it is generally understood that if somebody is not doing this, neither he is doing, let's say, fire sacrifice or not even burning a fire for the sake of, let's say, food and other things at home. And as well, the second point is that he's also akriya. He's also not doing any duty. So by this, he's supposed to be sannyasi or a yogi, which we saw, a sannyasi and sadhu we saw with the cigarette and all that, we saw that. Krishna is refuting and saying that he is not a yogi, he is not a sannyasi at all. But who is then sannyasi and who is a yogi? Now he is giving the definition in the first line. Anashritah karma phalam karyam karma karoti yaha. Anashritah karma phala karyam. So who is absolutely unattached to the karma, to the fruit of his action. If he is unattached to the fruit of action, he or she, then she or he is the greatest sannyasi and greatest mystic or yogi, not the other one. This verse says about that. So the eightfold yoga system, yama niyama, asana, pranayam, dhyana, dharana, samadhi, emphasizing on the control of the mind and the senses, very difficult, especially in the age of Kali, Because for the age of Kali, Kalau Nastyeva Gatiranatha. What is that? Harir Nama, Harir Nam, Namaiva Kevalam. Kalau Nastyeva Gatiranatha. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Iti Sudosa Namna Mantra, Kali Kalmasa Nashanam. For Kali, it is the Maha Mantra. So this fold yoga system is difficult. Even Arjuna will say this. Even Krishna will say this. We'll look at that. Subsequently they will say this. The Lord emphasizes on Karma Yoga. Better as all living entities are constitutionally parts and parcel of Supreme, should work with the Lord always in mind in absolute surrenderance, must work in Krishna consciousness as though we are obligated to Him. The parts of the body work for the satisfaction of the whole body. So, this is the analogy. In our body also, the parts of the body are actually doing whatever job for the satisfaction of the whole body. Mind, our brain is doing something, heart is doing something, lungs is doing something, or liver is doing something, whatever they're doing ultimately for the overall benefit or overall satisfaction of the whole body. Similarly, if we are part and parcel of Krishna, which we are, then our only objective is to satisfy Him, to please Him. And that is the surrender process, and that is the bhakti. Whereas in case of eight yoga system, if you look at the seven up to the seven, there is no stage of bhakti anywhere. It might come only after samadhi. That's a very, very longest process, and also many people cannot do it also. The kind of physiological requirement it needs, also many are not fit in Kali Yuga. So therefore, our acharyas, our parampara has recommended that not only parampara, Shastra has recommended for Kalau Nasti because this is in Kali Santarana Upanishad, and there are 108 proofs and evidences that this is the best process of Kali Yuga. So the living entity working to satisfy the supreme and not self is a perfect sannyasi or yogi. Sannyasi is presuming they are liberated from all material duties and stopping Agnihotra yajnas, which I was just talking about. But that is not what sannyasi is. Their desire is to become one with the impersonal Brahman. So there is a desire. This desire itself is greater than any material desire because they don't want to serve as a part and parcel of Krishna. Living entity is supposed to serve Krishna all the time, and that is the constitutional position. If that is not there, and if a yogi wants to be one, like with the Brahman, so they want to merge in the Brahma Jyoti. So what happens is that after some times they fall, and that is the reason why they fall because there is no ananda there. There is some kind of uh, Brahmananda would be there for some time. But what is the permanent Ananda is the Seva Ananda, which is the truth. Which, in fact, when in the chapter of Ardhashtaka Urdhamulam, there also we saw that the barrier is the desire between the spiritual world and the material world. The barrier is the desire, and below that, the inverted tree is there, right? So, mystic yogi also performing yoga with half of a night, stopping all mental activities is also an imperfect yogi. So, Krishna is saying that they are not yogis, neither they are sannyasis. Both the sannyasi and the mystical yogi are self-interested because the mystic yogi wants some kind of power, sannyasi wants to merge. Both have these kind of desire. However, a Krishna conscious person works for the satisfaction of the whole, means Krishna, without self-interest. We can see all the bhaktas, all the great devotees. In fact, everyone in ISKCON and everyone in the parampara you can see that how happy they are in serving Krishna without any interest. They're not asking anything in return for that. Serving for the sake of serving. Like Krishna is saying, fighting for the sake of fighting, similarly, serving for the sake of serving, not for anything else. So he's true sannyasi who serves just to serve. The highly renounced Lord Chaitanya prays. This is what I was talking about. What this is the prayer Sikhyastakam we pray every day. न धनं न जनं न सुन्दरीं कवितां वा जगदीश कामये मम जन्मनि जन्मनीश्वरे भवतात् भक्तिरहेतुकी त्वयि. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, not to enjoy a beautiful woman, nor do I want any number of followers. What I want only is the causeless mercy of your devotional service in my life, birth after birth. So he is not interested, even for liberation. Somebody who is a devotee is not interested in liberation because he wants to serve. He says, Mama Janmani Janmani Sware Bhavatat Bhaktir Aheituki Tvai. This is the state of a bhakta. So yam sannyasam iti prahur yogam tam vidhi pandava nahi asanyasta sankalpo yogi bhavati kaschana. What is called renunciation, you should know to be the same as yoga or linking oneself with the Supreme. O son of Pandu, for one can never become a yogi unless he renounces the desire for sense gratification. Very clear. Neither one can become a sannyasi nor one can become a yogi if the sense gratification is not fully renounced. So, yam sannyasam iti prahur. Acha, this we have already. So, both lead to the renunciation of sense gratification. Bhakti yoga, how it happens? To become attached to Krishna and work for him, thus controlling the mind and senses. So, because our mind and senses are used for Krishna, thinking about Krishna, Vishnu Smaranam, hearing about Krishna, Sravanam, Kirtanam, by all this, offering using our senses for Krishna. So, by doing all this, by design and by default, the control of mind happens. The senses are being utilized. Because in any case, there are only two choices. Either we surrender to Maya or we surrender to Krishna. A Krishna conscious person surrenders to Krishna. So naturally, Maya will not touch. Now, for Ashtanga Yogi also, because they are giving up the attachment to the fruits of work, because they are into Niskama Karma, so by that they control the senses and focus the mind within. So both, it is not that Ashtanga Yogi is not successful. He is also successful. But it is the matter of time because we don't know how many births it will take for a Ashtanga Yogi. Whereas for a Bhakta Yogi, it can happen in this one life only. So living entity has no separate independent entity. He is the marginal energy of the Supreme, entrapped by material energy. He is conditioned in Krishna, and in Krishna consciousness, he is his real state of life. In complete knowledge, only seizes sense gratification, renounces sense gratification. Yogis, by practice, restrain the senses from material attachment. That is by practice. When they're doing the yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, up to pranayama, it is primarily on the gross body, which is basically made up of five elements: earth, water, fire, air, and ether. From pranayama onwards, so yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, dhyana, dharana, pratyahara, samadhi. So from pranayama onwards, it is the work is on you know, the subtle body, that is mind, intelligence, and ego. So therefore, a Krishna conscious person is both sannyasi and yogi because he's using all his mind, intelligence, ego, everything for Krishna. So the purpose of knowledge. What is the purpose of knowledge? Vedai sarvesya aham eva vidyaha. So the knowledge, which is Veda, Veda is the source of knowledge. It says who is to be known. Who is to be known in the Vedas? Krishna is to be known through the Vedas or by the Vedas. Vedaischa sarvehi aham eva vidyaha is saying. But Krishna conscious person knows it. And therefore, he is already serving. So, real aim for a living entity to give up all selfish satisfaction and only satisfy the Supreme, it is very, very clear. Now we'll talk about two stages of Ashtanga Yoga. One is Arukshu stage, and other is Yoga Rudha stage. So, so this verse is Arukshar Munir Yogam Karma Karanam Uchyate Yoga Rudhasya Tasvaiva Samaha Karanam Uchyate. For one who is a neophyte, means who is absolutely new practitioner, absolutely new in the eightfold yoga system, that is Ashtanga Yoga, work is said to be the means. And for one who is already elevated in yoga, cessation of all material activities is said to be the means. So there are two means. For the neophyte, the mean is the work itself is supposed to be the mean, and who is already elevated, that is who is already in the yoga ruda stage, for him the absolute stoppage or cessation of all material activities is said to be the means to what? Means to achieve samadhi in case of astanga yoga, and ultimately krishna. So the process of linking a living entity with the supreme yoga may be compared to a ladder. So what is this ladder? This ladder is the topmost is a spiritual realization and begins from the lowest material condition, rising up to the state of perfect self-realization. The ladder may be divided into three parts. So, Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. So, Jnana Yoga, but before Jnana Yoga, what is there? Before Jnana, there is a Sakama Karma, and after that, Niskama Karma. Then comes the Jnana, then comes the Dhyana Yoga, which is primarily the Ashtanga Yoga, and then Bhakti Yoga. So, beginning of the ladder is the Yoga Rurukshu stage, and the highest stage is called yoga rudha stage. So following ashtanga yoga situating oneself in meditation, perfect mental equilibrium to control the senses is achieved. All disturbing mental activities cease. Which stage? The disturbing mental activities cease at yoga rudha stage. But in krishna consciousness, one is always meditating on krishna. So when we're saying Sravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. What we're doing, one is always meditating in Krishna. When we're chanting, what we're doing, we're using our mouth, our ears, our mind. Everything is used. Meditating on Krishna. Constantly engaged in the service of Krishna when all material activities are considered to have ceased. So when we're chanting, there is no material activity that is happening in any case. So this is the ladder. So first is the fruity worker performing rituals, and so various rituals, maybe some puja rituals, some yajna rituals, all those they do so that they go. So that's basically the karma kanda as per the prescribed scriptures, so that they go to the higher planets, enjoy, come back again, do some endeavor, enjoy, come back. So this cycle goes on. Then they go to the next stage. That is primarily, which is called Karma Yoga, or in a way, it is a Niskama Karma Yoga. So basically, renouncing the fruits of one's work. From there, slowly it goes to Jnana Yoga. And what is that Jnana? It is renouncing the fruits plus speculative knowledge about Brahman. So there is a three realization we know: Brahman realization, Paramatma realization, Bhagwan realization. But here, Brahman is realization is happening, and austerity is part of the Ashtanga Yoga. Then step three is renouncing. So all these are now continuously happening. Renouncing fruits, knowledge is there, control of mind and senses by the eightfold path, and meditation on Paramatma and Supersoul within the heart, Ashtanga Yoga. But when it ends with Samadhi, at that stage, actually, after Samadhi, only the Bhakti Yoga they can achieve. So so we can imagine that somebody is in Kama Kanda, then after that Nishkama Karma, then Jnana Yoga, then Ashtanga Yoga. Ashtanga Yoga might take several births. Then after that, go to the Bhakti Yoga, loving devotional service to the Supreme Lord. In any case, everyone will go. Even the path of Ashtanga Yoga also culminates into Bhakti Yoga, but a very, very longish process. So, यदा हि नेन्द्रियार्थेषु न कर्मसु अनु सज्जते सर्वसंकल्प सन्यासी योगारूढ़स्तदुच्यते. A person is said to be elevated in yoga when, having renounced all material desires, he neither acts for sense gratification nor engages in fruitive activities. So that is called the yoga rudha stage. Now next will be about, no, that is go arukshu stage. Yeah. And this is the yoga ruler stage. So that is giving up work. So yogi may even give up niskama karma yoga when his mental control reaches the stage of regarding. So there are some examples given, like well-wishers. Also, they, you know, the mental control happens in such a way that, whether it is well-wisher or it is envious people, or it is pious people, or it is sinners. So all these four kinds of people, he is able to equally. This is the yoga rudha stage. So it is the left side is the yoga ruksha stage, and it is work on mind, not on body, is where slowly the last stage happens. So the yoga rudha stage, giving up work, and this is the neophyte. We can see, like, practicing this a little bit of, little detachment, a little advancing, cultivating, practicing part-time asana, some little bit of pranayam. Slowly and steadily it is happening. And now in an advanced stage, now he doesn't act for sense gratification. Already he has gone to the jungle. He is in a, so pratyahara has happened. Pratyahara means everything, all cessation of all, sense engagement is stopped. That is the pratyahara, and doesn't engage in fruitive acts. Then in any case, he's already gone to the jungle, so he's not, engaged, and has renounced all material desires, permitted to quit prescribed duties. His kama karma yoga can be given up, practices yoga full time and has full knowledge. And from there, it goes to the next stage. So, uttharet atmanatmanam natmanam अवसादयेत् आत्मैव हि आत्मनो बन्धुर आत्मैव रिपुर आत्मनः. So who is the friend and who is the enemy? Let's understand. So one must deliver himself with the help of his mind and not degrade himself. The mind is a friend of the conditioned soul and his enemy as well. So is mind a friend or an enemy? Who is going to answer this? Hare Krishna. Who is going to answer this? Is mind a friend or an enemy? Or both? It is both. Yes, Rasmi Mataji. Yes, Mataji. I think
Sometimes a
Hare Krishna
friend,
Mataji.
an enemy.
You are not audible properly. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji,
Can you try?
sometimes a friend, sometimes an enemy.
So when it is friend and when it is enemy? I mean, anything, any answer is okay. Let's try.
When it
But it is
shows you the right path, then it becomes your friend, and sometimes you get confused over desires, and that time it becomes your enemy.
okay, quite nearer to the what Krishna has said about mind, quite nearer to that. What he's saying is that his mind is controlled. The word is control. So if mind is controlled, then it is a friend and it does whatever you want. So for one who has conquered the mind is the best of friends. But for one who has failed to do so, the mind will remain the greatest enemy. So everything, all the various things that happens around the world, which we think that it should not happen, we think that, this incident should not happen. There's a bad incident. This murder should not happen, or that thing happened, or this blast should not have happened. Whatever. Those have happened because somebody has not conquered his mind, and he has gone by his mind and done something. Even at the psychological stage, not necessarily at a physical stage. So bandhur atmanastasya येनात्मै आत्मना जितः अनात्मानस्तु शत्रुत्वे वर्तेत्मा वर्तेतात्मैव शत्रुवत्. For him who has conquered the mind is the best friend, best of the friends. But for one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest enemy. Now the question will come, answer is there in front of us. For example, many things are easy to say and difficult to do. If that is so, We know the answer that if we conquer the mind, then it is a friend. If we do not conquer the mind, then it is enemy. Now, question is how to conquer. That question has to will come now. So let's see. Krishna will definitely answer this. A person is said to be established in self-realization and is called a yogi or a mystic when he is fully satisfied by virtue of acquired knowledge and realization. Such a person is situated in transcendence and is self-controlled. He sees everything, whether it be pebbles, stones, gold, everything. So this is an example which is given, and this is a beautiful it's not story. I would say this is the this is a story in the Bhagavatam. A person is considered still further advanced when he regards honest well-wishers, affectionate, benefactors, the neutral, the mediators, the envious, friends, enemies, the pious, the sinners, all with an equal mind. And this particular picture is about Ambarish Maharaj. So what has happened was this story, I think we have discussed in the level one also. So I'll not be elaborate, just saying that Turvasa was known for his anger. So Ambarish Maharaj was about to, he was doing his Ekadasi Brata and, Nirjala rather. And then he was about to take his water at this moment, Maharshi Durvasa entered and he said, okay, fine, let us do it together. And he came with his troop, and the entire troop said that let us go to the river, come back, and then after that we'll have the, you know, Japana together. Then he waited, but he's not coming back. Then he asked his, other Brahmins in the court that what should you do? Then they said, fine, Nirjala is there, so you just take sip of water, and by that two things will happen. One is that your fast is not broken because you are not eating anything, and at the same time, the samapana is also happening properly. And at the same moment, Budubasa came, and then he said that you had done this kind of you could not wait for me, and you such a pride you have, this and that, and then he made a very fierce demon we can see here, and he's about to kill Ambarish Maharaj. But what has happened was, from somewhere, suddenly the Sudarsana Chakra came and killed, not only killed this demon, but also it just ran after Rishi Durvasa to kill him. Now Rishi Durvasa is running here and there. He's going to Shiva. Loko Shiva is saying, I don't know. Brahma is saying, I can't help. Then he goes to Vishnu. Vishnu says, I don't know how the Sudarsana didn't ask me, it just slipped away because it is always takes care of the devotees. Then he said, what should I do? Then Vishnu said, see, you have a devotee, you have, defamed one of my devotees. So only my devotee can save you. You go and ask pardon from him. So finally he went there and of course, Ambirasi Maharaj, as usual, he was neither in pride not in hatred. Despite all this, that's the kind of one who has conquered the mind. So he's the best example. Had he not conquered his mind, then he would have said, no, 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 I can't excuse you this because uh, I have not done any sin, and despite all that, you have tried. This is the power of conquering of mind. So six enemies, Kamakratha, Lobha, Maha, Mada, and Matsarya. We have been, you know, listening about this from our maybe childhood, some of us. I think other words don't require any understanding, but Mata, Moho, and Matsarya. Matsarya is primarily envy, Moho is illusion, and Mada is intoxication or madness. So there is also called what there is in Sanskrit, which is called Unmada. Basically, the mad persons are called Unmadas. So their mother has gone to such a level that now they do not behave like a normal people. So all these are our six enemies. One established in self-realization by virtue of knowledge and self-realization, he sees all this equally, whether it is pebble or stone or gold. And with more advancement he sees. So what is the first advancement? I mean, first stage is that he's able to see all this. The second stage is that he sees honest, well-wishes, affectionate benefactors, the neutral mediators, the envious, friends, enemies, pious sinners equally. And the further stages in practice of yoga. Krishna described the practice of Ashtanga Yoga. The result are Yoga Ruda, the perfectional stage, and ultimately the vision of the super soul. So this is the, uh, you can say, stage from uh, level 1 to, let's say, level 8. Level 1 is Yama, level 8 is Samadhi, where Samadhi is the Yoga Rudha stage, and level 1 is the Yoga Rukshu stage, is the beginning stage. In other words, it's the Sadhana Bhakti stage up to Dharana, and from there, we can say the Samadhi and absorption, absolute remembering and Dhyana, and then, Samadhi happens. And after that, they achieve Krishna, of course. But going to Samadhi, that stage itself is too difficult because first 5 stages are not that easy. It requires lots and lots of bodily capacity. And yoga has been misunderstood and misinterpreted. And I don't know what the words are, I have no words to what extent it has gone and how people are using this nowadays. So you see there is something called cat yoga. You can see a kitten there sitting on a chair. There is a chair yoga. There is samat, pregnancy yoga. So many things which are happening. So people have forgotten that the meaning of the yoga is primarily connection. That's the simple meaning. Yoga means connection. So where is the postures are not yogas. There is only in the stage of Ashtanga yoga, yama, niyama, asana. So third is yama, niyama, asana. Asana is the part which is this all these postures. But in generic way, everybody is saying this is yoga. Is it a yoga? This may be a wonderful, physical exercise or whatever it is. Maybe Sirsasana and there is a connection happening, but connection is between the head and the earth, maybe. But there is no connection with the Supreme. He's dug his head inside the earth. So people are trying, and this is another type of yoga, unbelievable. There is no regulative principle. In fact, intoxication is happening, and they're also calling it yoga. So all this are primarily that's how uh, So because the parampara is lost, so all these are happening. Mental concoction, theorizing things, all these things are happening because people are digressing from the parampara. Parampara would never say that you can have a yoga or even a Ashtanga yoga, even an asana, for example, in the Patanjali system or Ashtanga system. It will not allow intoxication because it is stopped at the Niyama stage itself. Absolute stopped. Because Niyama is all about the Nivritis. So, eight limb connection, we see this Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayam, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. This is the Ashtanga Yoga system. So this is what Yama is the external disciplines, Niyamas are the internal disciplines, Asanas are the postures, Pranayama. So as I said, that first four are mostly on the gross body, and Pranayam is the point where gross body and subtle body are connected because it is through breath, and breath directly connects to the mind. So after that, then Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. This is the process. So all these are required. Yama would require somebody has to go to a secluded place. Niyama would require that, eating, sleeping, working, and everything will be absolutely limited. Asana require some kusa grass is required. Maybe a deer skin is required at that point of time. The body, neck, and head should be erect. So much of required. Everybody cannot do it. Devoid of fear, completely free from sex life, should be meditated upon. Pranayama would require that stopping of the movement of the outgoing breath and that is what is called a kumbhaka, rechaka, all these words are there, right? Kumbhaka is stopping the breath. So all these are required for, going to the stage of samadhi. In fact, to go up to the pranayam itself from, so yama, is the most difficult one. Then, of course, pratyahara, cessation of metal resistance. Dharana, we talked about. Dhyana. Dhyana is what? As a lamp in a windless place doesn't waver, so the transcendentalist whose mind is controlled remains always steady in his meditation on the transcendental self. This is the example. And samadhi is one is never shaken, and even in the midst of great difficulty, this indeed is actual freedom from all miseries arising from material contact. So somewhere we read Yahi Sansparsajak Hoga in the previous chapter. So all this absolute cessation happens, and at Samadhi stage, they are able to realize Brahma Jyoti, and also they have a chance even to go to the Bhakti stage. So this is the ladder: Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. This is for the Ashtanga Yogi. So step by step, ladder by ladder. The Bhakti Yoga, we start from the last. We don't go here. So there is no possibility of one's becoming a yogi or Arjuna if one eats too much or so all these are required. Too much eating, too much sleeping, or whatever. This is all are barriers in the Ashtanga Yogi. Of course, it is a barrier even for a Bhakti Yogi. It's barrier to all kinds of spiritual advancements. So nati asnastustu yogasti na chaikantam anasnataha na chati swapnasilasya jagruto naiva charjuna. There is no possibility that of one's becoming a yogi or Arjuna if one eats too much or eats too little, sleeps too much or does not sleep enough. So all these are deterrents in the path of spiritual realization. So gradually, step by step, one should become, trance by means of intelligence is sustained by full conviction, and thus the mind should be fixed on the self alone and should think of nothing else. This is the stage which is required. You can see the picture where he's thinking, the soul is thinking no one but Paramatma here in the 400 form. That is the Yoga Ruda stage. So, from wherever the mind wanders due to its flickering and unsteady nature, one must certainly withdraw it and bring it back under the control of the self. Because mind is a monkey, it will jump from here and there. And here, they're forcing a control through the process of Ashtanga Yoga on the mind, which is so difficult. So, the yogi whose mind is fixed on me verily attains the highest perfection of transcendental happiness. He is beyond the mode of passion. He realizes his qualitative identity with the Supreme and thus is freed from all reactions to past deeds. This is the this is what a devotee always does. Sarvabhutastam atmanam sarvabhutani chatmani kshate yuktatma sarvatra samadarshanaha. A true yogi observes me in all beings and also sees every being in me. Indeed, the self-realized person sees me, same Supreme Lord everywhere. Panditaha Samadarshina. So we saw it in the last chapter also. The bandwidth was from Brahmana to the dog eater. So here again it is coming. But here it is for the Ashtanga Yogi. It is coming. A true yogi observes me in all beings. And why it has happened? Because he is able to see the Paramatma in all living beings. Yo mang pashyati sarvatra sarvam cha mai pashyati tasyaham na pranashyami sacha me na pranashyati. For one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor is he ever lost to me. It is similar to Neha Vikramana Swasti Pratavayana Vidyate. Sralpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Absolutely similar. So, such a yogi who engages in the worshipful service of the Super Soul, knowing that I and Super Soul are one, remains always in me in all circumstances. So we can see uh, our founder Acharya, and we can see the Krishna conscious devotee he's always absorbed in Krishna. This is a beautiful pastime. On the right hand side is a beautiful pastime of Krishna, where this is the the Brahma Leela, where Brahma could not understand Krishna. Such a little boy, can he be the supreme personality of Godhead? So he has doubt. So what he did, he stole all the cows, even all the gopas, everyone, and hid them in the Brahmaloka somewhere. So Krishna could know this, and he created he, all the you can see everyone is like looking like Vishnu, and they all become, some of them become cows, some of them become the friends, and nobody could, for 1 year nobody could understand that they were actually lost, and the Brahma could realize, and then the prayers come, which is a beautiful prayer in Bhagavatam. You can read that. Section 4, necessity of controlling the turbulent mind. Although control of mind is undoubtedly a difficult process, nevertheless control of mind is essential and obtainable only by constant practice and detachment. So the key word is constant practice and detachment. Abhyasa yogena is the point. So we can see, if we look at Arjuna's story, we know very well that how he is the Dhanudhara, he is the Sabyasachi, he is the Parantapa. When everybody was asked that, what you are looking, somebody is saying that I am looking at, the sky, I'm looking at the branch, I'm looking at the leaf. Whereas Arjuna could say that I can see the eyeball of the eye of the bird. That is the kind of concentration of mind he had. Then not only that, how he in the Swayambara also the task was not that easy. It was such a difficult task because he was supposed to aim at a revolving fish's eye from the down image which is falling on the water. That also he could do. And not only that, he fought with Lord Shiva and got the Pashupasastra. With that kind of mind control and that kind of physical ability, what he's saying, and he had a darshan of Nara Narayan also in that process. Now, what he's saying, after listening, now he's saying, Yo yam yogas tvaya proktoho sammyena madhusudana etasyaham na pasyami chanchalavats Sthitim, Sthiram. Arjuna said, O Madhusudana, the system of yoga which you have summarized, which one? The Astanga Yoga system, appears impractical and unendurable to me, for the mind is restless and unsteady. If Arjuna is saying this, then just think about us, and that too in Kali Yuga. He was in Dwapara Yuga, having all qualities, and he's saying mind is difficult to control, and the system that he was saying is not easy. Now what? Then again, he is continuing saying, Chanchalam hi manah Krishna pramathi balabhadridham tasyaham nigraham manye vayuriba suduskaram. For the mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong, O Krishna, and to subdue it, I think, is more difficult than controlling the wind. So he's giving a comparison. Even with my, astra and all my weapons, I can still control the wind. I can stop the wind, or I can, blow the wind. But I cannot control the mind. It's so turbulent, so obstinate, so restless. So it is so duskuram. But Krishna, the mind is more difficult to control than the wind, he's saying. Samshayam mahabayo manodurnigraham chalam abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha grihate. Now Sri Krishna is answering to the question saying, O mighty armed son Kunti. So he's saying mighty armed. So once you are mighty armed, every time he's saying Mahabaho means you can easily do it. So you have the capability to do it. So you can do it, Arjuna. However, what it requires is a lot of practice. And he's also saying that undoubtedly what you are saying is correct. It is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind. Krishna is saying, Arjuna is saying, but it is possible to do it through practice and by detachment. Now, this practice and detachment, these two, how will do? This, in any case, in a Krishna conscious person, here we can see that by engaging. all the senses, continuously chanting, this detachment, as well as the practice we are doing, Abhyasa and Vairagya. So what we are doing? We are doing a Yukta Vairagya. That we have told many, many times, right? We are doing Yukta Vairagya. So all the ISKCON people, 98% people are Gruhis. They are householders. They are doing their respective jobs, but keeping Krishna in the center, so that whatever I'm earning, I'm not earning for myself. So that I'll do something for Krishna. With that kind of mind, everybody is doing. And they're using all the facilities, whether it is a car, whether it is a house, whether it's a mobile, whether it's a laptop, everything for Krishna. Then that's called a Yukta Vairagya that they're doing. So they're doing both. They're doing practice as well as detachment. What Krishna is saying here. So Krishna's opinion is what? For one whose mind is unbridled, self-realization is difficult work. But he whose mind is controlled and who strives by appropriate means is assured of success. So appropriate means is Sri Chaitanya Deva has given the appropriate, you know, means, and that is the Sankirtana Dharma. Why it is appropriate? Because it is apt for Kali Yuga. So there is an appropriateness in every yuga. So in we know that in Satya Yuga the appropriateness was, meditation. In Treta it was temple worship. In Dwapara it was fire sacrifice. In Kali it is Sankirtana and chanting. So trying to practice yoga while engaging the mind in material enjoyment is like trying to ignite a fire while pouring water on it. Similarly, yoga practice without mental control is a waste of time. So beautiful simile is given here. So somebody is trying to practice yoga. It is something like that, I am putting the accelerator of my car and also the brake at the same time. So just imagine what will happen. So the destination of the unsuccessful yogi. Now he's questioning what happens. What happens if one such endeavorer in between he dies? So what happens? Unsuccessful transcendentals obtain either heavenly enjoyment followed by a aristocratic birth, Suchinam, Srimatam Gehe. Aristocratic is the, you know, that is the Srimatam Gehe, if they are slightly advanced, or birth in a family of wise transcendentalists that bring them immediate further training. That means Krishna is saying that if there is a simple endeavor, never, it also supports the other verse which says that Prattabhayana Vidyate, Swapamapisa Dharmasatrayatama Bhayat. So a simple endeavor in this never ever perishes. So what happens is that Krishna takes care of it, and that endeavor, uh, wherever it starts, like for example, if somebody gets a degree, then if somebody is let's say got a medical degree, MBBS and something else, then if he dies or she dies, then again he has to start from the school nursery and go. But in case of here, he will start from he ended. If he's, let's say, ended with niskama karma, then he will give in, that kind of ecosystem, that those kind of parents, those kind of family for further training, for further advancement from niskama karma. If somebody is, stopped at that, or somebody has stopped at the platform of knowledge, then he will start from there, so that he's taking birth in a Brahmin family or an austere family where the knowledge practice will go on. So what happens to the unsuccessful transcendentalist? Although he begins the process of self-realization with faith, he later desists due to worldly mindedness, and thus does not attain perfection in mysticism. O mighty on Krishna, O mighty arm Krishna, does not such a man who is bewildered from the path of transcendence fall away from both spiritual and material success and perish like a river, a riven cloud with no position in any sphere? So he's just giving an example of a cloud that like the cloud is blown away by the air. So what happens to this kind of a yogi who is bewildered in between in the path? He doesn't reach, let's say, samadhi stage, or he doesn't reach the Krishna con bhakti stage. So what happens? So this is my doubt to Krishna, and I ask you to dispel it completely. But for you, no one is to be found who can destroy this doubt. Now he's answering. Now Sri Bhagavan Vacha is answering this question. पार्थ नैवीह नामुत्र विनाशस्तस्य विद्यते न हि कल्याणकृत् कश्चित् दुर्गतिं तत गच्छति. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Son of Partha, a transcendentalist engaged in auspicious activities does not meet with destruction either in this world or in the spiritual world. One who does good, my friend, is never overcome by evil. So again, Neha Vikramanasasti Pratyavana with Abhitate, Shalpamabhyasya Dharmasya Trayata Mahatavaya. On the right hand side, we see the story of whom? Ajamila. Ajamila story is the most example of that a little a transcendentalist with a remembrance of just the name of Narayana, where he was actually not calling Vishnu, but he is calling his youngest son, who was something 3 to 4 years old, at the age of 90, and he did all kind of sinful activities. But then for first 20 years he was a Brahmana, and then he married a prostitute, and then the degradation started. However, these 20 years he has done, you know, all good, beautiful devotional service to Krishna. So some kind of remembrance, all this was there with him. So that Sukruta, which was already there, when he uttered the name of Narayana, because there is no difference between his name, fame, pastime, and his paraphernalia. So therefore, the moment he uttered the name of the Narayana, the Vishnu Dutas came and they took him. So therefore, son of Partha, a transcendentalist engaged in auspicious activities. Here, what was the auspicious activities? Just chanting the name, just calling. He was calling his son. Does not meet with destruction either in this world or spiritual world. So he got the mukti. The unsuccessful yogi, pious birth into a good family. So nothing to worry, Krishna is saying. Even if one is unsuccessful in this life, then in the next life he will take a birth in a pious family. He revives the divine consciousness in early stage of life. We see many children, no, Krishna conscious children who are there in ISKCON, so many beautiful children who are in the ashram, who are and who are chanting Hare Krishna and chanting the entire Gita with all beautiful pronunciation and with the full of devotion. Where from these are coming at such a age of 5, 6, 7? Beautiful kids are doing this. How they're doing? Just because they have done all this in their previous life. That is very clear from this verse. The unsuccessful yogi, after many years of enjoyment on this planet of the pious living entities, is born into a family of righteous people or into a family of rich aristocracy. That is Suchina or Srimatam Gehe. So that what happens? He doesn't have to bother for his bread and butter. He doesn't have to, bother for his living. No endeavor is required towards that. Every endeavor now he can do towards the self-realization. This is the beautiful thing. There's the family. In fact, he's Prabhupada and no one else. And he's with his father. And from the beginning, he was, his father was a great devotee. He was doing, uh, puja every day. And he was, even if he was coming at 8 o'clock, then he will find the bells ringing. So Prabhupada, in fact, from the childhood itself, he was Krishna conscious, and we saw with what kind of difficulty he made this ISKCON today, and which is now the largest Krishna conscious family now in the globe. On taking such a birth, he revives the divine consciousness of his previous life, and he again tries to make further progress in order to achieve complete success. So basically, Krishna is saying that nothing to worry. It is not that in this life we'll get everything, because we do not know that which life it is. Out of 84 lakhs of species, if 4 lakh is you know, for the human being, then rest of 80 lakhs are in different species. So we don't know which particular birth we are going through now. So because of that, it may not be possible, but it is possible as well. if some when some devotee asked Prabhupada, he says that, okay, how much time it takes to go to the abode of Krishna? How much time it will take to go to the perfect stage? Prabhupada say it might take this moment. Even he didn't say that it will take this life at least. He says that it will take this moment. So we can see beautiful examples. So yogis are greater than empiricists, fruity workers. Apologis, those who with full faith always think of Krishna and under transcendental living service for him are the highest of all. And of all yogis, the one with great faith who always abide in me, thinks of me within himself and renders transcendental loving service to me. He is the most intimately united with me in yoga and is highest of the all. Now he is declaring, Yoginam api sarvesham मद्गतेनान्तरात्मना श्रद्धमान भजते यो मां समे युक्त तम मतः. Now he is declaring that he is the highest, who is who who is always thinking me. Manmana bhava mad bhakto matyaji mam namaskuryu ananya chintoyasto mam ye yanah parupasate. So this person who is always thinking about me, smaranam kirtanam Vishnu smaranam. So he is the highest of all yogis. Now it is established. And all this is what we can see the beautiful Leela at Vrindavan. So, this is the summary 1 to 4. We saw the advancing in yoga through detached work, then Yoga Rudha stage, uh, from Yoga Arakshu stage, 6.10 to 32, further stages in the yoga practice of yoga, like Yaman, Yama, and up to the Samadhi. 30 through 36, necessity of controlling the turbulent mind, which Arjuna said that it's so difficult, I can't do this. And then 37 to 45, the destination of the unsuccessful yogi. So where he takes birth, so that Krishna takes care of it. Krishna makes the arrangement, so nothing to worry. And finally, it declares who is the topmost yogi. So Bhakta is the topmost yogi. Hare Krishna. I stop here. So I have to stop the live stream as well.